Hello and welcome to this week's GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by SBK, with myself again in the hosting chair, with regular pundits Daryl Carter and Andrew Mount, set to guide you through this weekend's races, with hopefully plenty of winners to find as well. And we have some top-notch racing this weekend at Newmarket, where the two-year-olds take centre stage with the Group 1 Cheveley Park and the Group 1 Middle Park. There is also the Cambridgeshire Handicap at Newmarket. So yes, another big handicap field for us to try and find you the winner of. I'm really glad they keep setting us these easy tasks weekend after weekend, guys. I don't know about you. And also not forgetting 2 0 to 105 handicaps at Haydock as well. So that's what we're going to be covering in today's show. Ground conditions, it should be nice and quick across the board for this weekend. Currently, there is no rain forecast at Newmarket, so it should be nice, quick ground for Saturday. There is minimal rain forecast at Haydock on Friday night, but it shouldn't be enough to turn the ground anything worse and good whatsoever. There's been no watering update on racing admin today, so you can expect ideal conditions at both tracks. So without further ado, we actually have less racing to cover than we did last weekend. So we might actually have some time to breathe and go into selections this week. So we're going to begin at Newmarket, though. We're going to start with the 150. This is the Group 2 Royal Lodge Stakes over a mile for 2-year-olds. So our first of the group races for the 2-year-olds on Saturday, where Masekela currently heads the market for the Andrew Boulding team. But there are some very interesting rivals taking on this colt. So, Daryl, is there anything behind the favourite that takes your interest in this race?
Well, I think the market's got this right with the top 3 that they have: Masekela, Cruyff, and Royal Patronage. This is very tricky for me because I've been slagging off the Masekela form lines for the last couple of weeks, and but I do think he does set the standard. I do think he sets the standard, and I do think he is open to improvement now, stepping up to a mile. So there are reasons to be positive about his chances. Now, his Newbury run last time was given a big boost by Bayside Bull winning the Champagne Stakes. But, you know, that Newbury run, we must remember, well, I'll tell you, that Newbury run was actually 14.32 lengths slower than the Hungerford on the card. And the 2 winners are rated within £6 of each other. So it wasn't the best race to be judging the form on, if you like. The time before, when he was a short head second to Native Trail, obviously looks very good now. Native Trail did his best work at the finish that day. I thought he's going to improve when he goes up and trip. So the form is there, but it's not there set in stone, and it's not there rock solid. So he is vulnerable, I think, to someone that's going to step out and be a star, perhaps. That could be Corobus for Charlie Appleby, who was interestingly ridden on debut. He was hands and heels by William Buick right to the line, beating a horse called Saga. Saga brought in a fair stamp of form into that race, and it wasn't, again, the strongest of forms in terms of this race, but it was substantial enough. And you think that he's going to take a big step forward, especially when we see what he's got under the bonnet when the use of the Pro Cush, as they keep calling it now these days.
The new term, well done.
Yeah, the new term. So he's very interesting. You're sort of fighting with the head in terms of the bare form of that race compared to Masekela and the time figure, which was slower than 76 rated on the card, with your eye. So you're fighting the 2 really, because you know when you see a decent horse, he's clearly going to be a very decent horse, and you don't want to write him off after one run, that's for sure. I thought the value in the race was probably Royal Patronage at 10-3, because on a time figure basis, he's winning the ACOM. Last time it was a good time figure for the grade. He's ran faster than the 2 ahead of him in the market. Those are the bare facts. But again, he's a bit of an awkward sort, and I'm not entirely convinced Newmarket's going to suit him. So I don't think this is as open and shut as a lot of people may make out, or the market might make out it closer to the off. I thought Masekela would be the one to improve again. So reluctantly, I'm going to side with Masekela, but I'm not going to have a bet in this race because I'm just not attracted by the 3 prices at the top of the market, given the unknowns about them.
And as you say, when you have interlinking things with form lines versus your visual on a horse, and it's a very difficult thing to weigh up, especially when it comes to 2-year-olds at this time of year, and exactly who to side with. And hopefully, Daryl, though, with Masekela, if you're not having a bet in this, later on you're going to provide us with some more winners as you did last week, because of course you had the 12-1 winner with Solid Stone. So congratulations there.
Let's not go overboard. That's the only winner I've had for the last couple of weeks.
At least a pair of you two were on the board. Andrew, yourself on the board, of course, last week with a 9-2 winner in Jazati as well. So very well done. We'll move to you. So please give us more of those winners.
Yeah, tricky one, this one. I mean, you've only got 7 runners, 3 of them with first-time headgear, 3 of the outsiders. So, they could improve for that perhaps. But first-time headgear in, group races, is sort of not usually a winning tactic. I mean, I looked at the favourite, Masekela, going to be ridden prominently, like out 8 of the last 10 winners. I couldn't rule him out. He's 7-4. I looked at the second favourite, Corobus and Royal Patronage, sort of just behind that one of the betting, sort of 5-2, 11-4. I couldn't rule out either of those either. So it's not a race I want to have a bet in. It's not a race I really want to put a selection up in, to be perfectly honest. I'll go with Masekela just because I have to, and if not, you'll tell me off. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I did look at all the outsiders, thinking that there have been some funny results in this race over the years, and maybe we can get. Usually, though, those strange results have come from horses who've got loose on the lead when there's been a draw bias, when you've wanted it to be drawn, high against this near side rail or low against the far side rail. The stalls are in the middle, only 7 runners. They'll probably race in a heap down the centre, even though the going stick at the time of recording says the better ground's on the far side. And the stand side is also quicker than the centre. So it's half a chance one of them might peel off and sort of try to come down a rail. But yeah, Masekela for the sake of tipping one, but I'm not having a bet in the race.
All right, great. So 2 tentative selections for Masekela in this. And as you say, it's so difficult with 2-year-olds in terms of a pace bias anyway, trying to assess exactly where they're going to come from on the pace map. So yeah, so 2 tentative selections for Masekela, but not really a betting heat to be getting involved with. Hopefully there'll be more betting opportunities further on in the card, including in our next race, the 225. This is the Group 1 Cheveley Park Stakes, one of the feature races of the day. So this is for the 2-year-old fillies over 6 furlongs. And this year's renewal, I'm not sure about you guys, but I think this looks really exciting, this renewal. Plenty of top 2-year-old filly form lines being brought into the race. But currently, the unbeaten Line's 2-year-old Sacred Bridge heads the market in the hope of extending her unbeaten record to 5 here. And as said on last week's show, Lines doesn't usually travel his horses. He doesn't really like traveling his horses in general, let alone his juveniles. So naturally, you have to respect the fact that he's taking Sacred Bridge across here. Not that it necessarily worked out for Headmistress last week at Ayr, but Andrew, plenty of talented fillies in this lineup. Which one takes your fancy?
Yeah, this is far more interesting than the Royal Lodge. We've got a lot more runners as well, 13 of them due to go to post. And the majority of the market leaders seem to be drawn low, more towards that far side rail. So I wonder if we'll get a split here or whether it will be a case of one group down the centre again. And interestingly, last time out winners have got a pretty poor record in this race. In the last 5 years, you could just bet every horse who was beaten last time and make a profit of £24.50 to a £1 level stake. I can see the claims of Sacred Bridge, but that's well covered in the market. And the one I like most is Sandrine, 9-2, second favourite with the firm I'm looking at the time of recording. And she was at York last time in the Lowther Stakes, finishing second to Zane Claudette. But you watch the replay of that race, and of course this was the Ebor meeting over the 3 days. In the sprints, generally you wanted to be drawn low or at worst in the middle. Those who were drawn high tended to struggle. Now, in that race, there were 3 horses who raced towards the stand side rail from their high draws. Sandrine, who was second. The other ones were Nazanin, who was 8th from stall 11, and Outside World, who was 10th from stall 9. Outside World, who finished last, beaten 16.5 lengths, won next time out. Nazanin got beaten 7 and a bit lengths, went out and won a listed race at Ayr when not particularly well drawn down the middle. That was last week. So I think Sandrine can reverse the form with the winner, who, although Zane Claudette was only drawn in the next door stall, they did race quite wide apart from each other, particularly in the closing stages. So I'm with Andrew Balding's Sandrine, one of the strongest selections of the weekend for me.
That's a really good way of looking at that last race as well, because I was so keen on Sandrine for that. And I was quite disappointed that she got overturned by Zane Claudette. So it'd be interesting to see if the market follows in Zane Claudette or fancy Sandrine to reverse that form. Daryl, what about yourself for this race?
I do think Sandrine's got a big chance. I think the Lowther form from York, I think, sets the standard, if you like, albeit not an extremely strong standard, which can't be surpassed. But just talking about the handicapping system a minute ago, I just wanted to mention this. Right, so Eve Lodge won last week at Kempton by there was 5 lengths covering 7 runners. Eve Lodge was rated 85 at the time of winning that race. The handicapper put her up £17 for winning that. Wings of War was in second, was rated 96 at the time, went up £4. And the third was rated 88 and went up £10. And the third is Hierarchy. That horse went out and chased home Wings of War, finished in exactly the same position next time at Ayr, went up another £10. So Hierarchy has gone up in the handicap £20 in 2 runs for finishing second and third behind the exact same horse. Like, I just think this handicapping system for these 2-year-olds is crazy. I just wanted to mention it because simply because I was looking through the list and at Eve Lodge thinking, Christ, 102. I fancied her off 85 just the other week when she was going in the handicap.
When did that happen? Yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought it was a bit crazy. So I don't think taking a lot of these ratings too seriously is a good idea. I could completely see the case for Sandrine. I almost came down on her myself. I like Sacred Bridge. I think she's a nice progressive type. I think you can tear the form apart a little bit, but she has done things very impressively. So you wouldn't want to, knock her too much because she's been doing it with ease. But her form does link in with quite a few of these, including that Lowther form. I was going to take a different form line, take a chance on one at a bigger price for Carl Burke, Illustrating. I thought the run last time in Paris at Longchamp, when beaten half a length by Corazon, who's a lot shorter in the market in some places, was really eye-catching. I just thought that by the time she got herself together and got gathered up and went to kick and make her challenge, the race was over. She travelled really strongly through the race, but she just didn't get an opportunity to switch her legs and make a strong challenge. I think she's been running over the wrong trip. She won at Goodwood in really taking fashion the time before that on soft ground. So that would suggest to me that she does want to step up and trip. But I think a lot of her form lines tie in with a few of these. And I think she's a really big price at 14-1, given the improvement I think she's going to show up going up to 6 furlongs now. I don't think she's had the right trip yet once. So I think she's open to vast improvement. And I think she's drawn near some of the pace angles. I think she's got a good chance at around, I think she's 14-1 in places, isn't she? Yeah, I think that's quite a big price. Just to touch on as well, all 10 winners of this race in the last 10 years ran in group company on their last start. So that's probably something to note.
And definitely a good point to make then for Illustrating as well, who obviously finished third in that Group 3 at Longchamp last time out behind Corazon, who is a shorter price and wasn't beaten that far behind that filly. So, yeah, good price about Illustrating there, 14-1. And Andrew, you were keen on Sandrine as a final selection, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so Sandrine then at around 92 at time of recording, though, of course, from our first few shows of betting. So we move on to the 3 o'clock again at Newmarket. This is the Group 1 Middle Park Stakes for 2-year-olds over 6 furlongs. So return of a 2-year-old colts. And again, another feature race on Saturday. I'm not sure this is as competitive as the Cheveley Park, with Perfect Power setting a clear standard in this race for me, but he is a short price at the head of the market. But I think rightly so, as for me at least anyway, because it's been a topsy-turvy year for the 2-year-olds, where I found it difficult to get a handle on the 2-year-olds really, and sort of the hierarchy of the 2-year-olds. And I think that Perfect Power has established himself as the best 6 furlong 2-year-old, with Native Trail the best 7 furlong 2-year-old, who's going to be the Guineas horse for next year, whilst Perfect Power is the Commonwealth Cup horse for me next season. So hopefully he can give greater confidence to that theory here and win under Christophe Soumillon, who has been booked to ride again after winning last time out on this horse in the Prix-Morny. So that's going to be my selection for the race. But Daryl, what is the bet for you in the Middle Park?
I completely agree. I actually thought Perfect Power should be a lot shorter than the 15 to 8 on offer, to be honest. I thought that the win in the Pre-Morny last time was very eye-taking. It came from a completely unpromising position, had to really fight for a gap, showed a great attitude to do that, quickened up really smartly and won going away. The Pre-Morny has got a pretty good line into this race. I think they've got a 100% record 3 for 3 when coming from the Pre-Morny into this race. I thought that he was by far the best horse in the race. I did mention before I thought he was the strongest 2-year-old over 6 furlongs of the season. I don't see any reason why that's not true. I thought Ebro River put to bed the Irish form line when he went over and ran in a Group 1 over there to hold all them. So I thought that gave me a good line through to Perfect Power. I really don't understand why he's not shorter than the 15 to 8. The track, I suppose, is probably a slight concern for a lot of people coming to Newmarket for the first time, but 6 of the last 10 winners were running here for the first time in this race. He's just improved all season, travels strongly. He's got a great turn of foot. He's really strong at the finish. Simmo comes over to ride. I did think there's lots and lots of positives for Perfect Power. I couldn't see him getting beaten, really.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that has given me even greater confidence, Daryl. So thank you so much for that. So Daryl and I are both on the Perfect Power bandwagon. Andrew, are you joining us to make it a hat trick?
No, I think the worry is his running style. 9 of the last 10 winners made all raced prominently. Earthlights, who also won the Pre-Morny, was the exception. And I just worry about French Jockey held up on a track that's favouring pace. The wind's not super strong tomorrow, but it will be behind them like it is today. I've just seen another one may call at Newmarket today, Gale Force Mayor. So when we've had funny results in this race, like the last Lion, they've tended to go from the front. And I just think that a patient ride in a big field with a French Jockey, it's a recipe for disaster. And 7 to 4, I think you're going to need a little bit of luck. And every horse who's come out from that Pre-Morny so far and run since has been beaten, and there's quite a few of them. So I just thought that maybe it wasn't a form to get totally carried away with in the context of a 7 to 4 shot in a group race in a big field at Newmarket. So
nonsense.
I was
absolute nonsense.
Nonsense. I agree.
Kate, have you got a radio on in the background now? I heard just a faint voice. Might have been a small child.
You're used to those faint voices at the back of your head anyway. You're fine.
That's a good point. Yeah, so in terms of prices, I was looking at Go Bears Go. It was only just behind the favourite at Newmarket when racing on the opposite side of the track. Beaten last time out, though, did challenge wider than ideal in the Phoenix Stakes at the Curragh. And the other one I'm going to side with is big price Twilight Jet, son of Twilight's son, whose progeny go well over this sort of trip on decent ground. He saw too much daylight and raced too close to the early pace into the headwind at Doncaster last time out. And you look at his earlier 5th to Lusail. He was ridden patiently that day, and it paid to be on the front end. All the horses who was ridden from off the pace that day have come out and won or gone well since. American Star, Spearby. And I just thought, the prices, I'm looking at 22 to 1 here. I thought, Twilight Jet, was the value in the race. But, it wouldn't surprise me if you'll pick one, and best of luck to you. But at the price, given his running style and the race that it tends to pay to be on the front end, not for me.
But you say that, Andrew, about the subsequent form. Well, we're hoping in about 20 minutes' time that form's going to be boosted with Trident at Newmarket. At current time of recording, we've got about 20 minutes until Trident. Well, we might have to do 2 takes until Trident bolts up.
If Trident gets beat, we'll come back on an old gloat.
That's it. If Trident gets beat, myself and Daryl may have to rethink. We may have to do this all over again.
No.
When Trident bolts up by 10 lengths now in 20 minutes' time, we'll be the ones laughing. So we'll see.
He was far superior anyway.
He is, exactly. Outnumbered there. Right. That's it. That's going to divide opinion, at least, that race. Anyway, so really looking forward to the middle park. Now, Andrew going with a big stab at Twilight Jet at 22 to 1. again at current time of recording, and Daryl and myself going for the Invincible Perfect Power, touch wood. So we will move on to a race that will definitely divide opinion with the Cambridgeshire, the Heritage Handicap, 3 odds and over a mile one, the 340 at Newmarket. So yet another one of the most competitive handicaps of the season. Really interesting to see when jockey bookings came out this morning that Frankie Dettori has elected to ride Magical Morning instead of Uncle Bryn at the head of the market. Whether that gives you greater confidence about Magical Morning's chances or lessens your confidence about Uncle Bryn's chances, either way, it shaped the market very differently since declarations came out. So should we be taking heed of Frankie's judgment here, Andrew?
Yeah, he's got a reputation for being quite a good jockey, so who knows, he might be right. It's certainly an interesting move, and the betting I'm looking at is seeing Uncle Bryn drift to 13-2 and Magical Morning come into 7, so I can quite see Magical Morning going off as a shorter price than the stablemate. He's drawn in 35, Uncle Bryn 30, so they're both drawn very high. I mean, last year it was a completely different race. There was a very strong tailwind and massive bias towards the near side rail. It favoured prominent races. Whether it'll be the same again remains to be seen. But on the going, I certainly couldn't put you off either, particularly Magical Morning. I haven't been through the pace map yet, so I don't know where the pace is. But just looking at it, there looks to be sort of plenty of it all over the track. Marie's Diamond, for example, coming out in stall 12, and perhaps turn them along towards the far side. I say the going stick says the ground is better towards the far side, favouring the low numbers, only marginally, but certainly quicker than the middle of the track. So I wouldn't. If you look at the recent history of the race, you'll be looking at high draws, but I wouldn't necessarily get too carried away by that at the moment. Chichester's been the anti-post gamble, 66-1 earlier this week after that impressive York win. Again, the price has gone now, he's 9-1. But the ones I was looking at big prices. Long Tradition was interesting in the first time cheap pieces for this side, been Soroyard. He's 18s into 14s since the betting has opened, and he's top of the shop in stall 37. Obviously, there's reserves in there as well, so we won't actually have 37 runners. But I keep coming back to Bell Rock. He's top weight, I know, but he's got the course form, and we've talked about him. He's often featured in Weekend Watch because he's been running in these big Saturday races. And I put him up without the favourite in one of those races at York. He ran okay, I think he finished 4th. But it's just his form here in the Rolling Mile. He's had 3 wins and a 3rd in this race last year from 3 goes here. He just loves the place. And you'd think, he must be trained in Newmarket. He's a poor traveller, but he's not. He's trained by Andrew Balding. And so his only defeat came in this race. Only Newmarket defeat came in this race last year when he finished 3rd. Perhaps the ground was slower than ideal for him. He ran off 103 that day. He's 107. It's not the end of the world, given that since then he's won again since. So I'll go Bell Rock each way. You're going to get some firms offering sort of 6-7 places. He's maybe even more. He's 33-1. He's drawn in stall 8, so hopefully that low draw is not a disadvantage. And I might just chuck a couple of quid at Breath Court as well for Michael Bell. This is one of those ammo racing horses who's left Rafe Beckett for Michael Bell. He's done well with them when he takes them over from that yard. You'd make a profit backing them blind. And this is an odd one because he's shown preference for quick ground, but he somehow managed to avoid it through most of his career. And he was due to run for Beckett at Glorious Goodwood on heavy ground, but they pulled him out. And the last time he had anything like it, a decent surface, he won over course and distance last September. So he's gone well at this time of year. He's gone well over trip and track. He was very impressive that day, winning by over 2 lengths at odds of 4-1 off a mark of 90. He's £7 higher. That's fair enough. But so Bell Rock and Breath Court, both drawn low, both 33-1. So hopefully the draw doesn't inconvenience them.
That is interesting, isn't it, with the draw here? But as you say, there looks likely to be pace everywhere.
So I'll just throw one more very quickly. Epic Endeavour has never lost in the autumn, 3 from 3 in September and October. Another one who's likely to be on the front end. So coming out of stall 20, I wouldn't rule out him going well under Nicola Curry.
And he's at another big price, isn't he? I've lost him. Yeah,
66s.
66s. I've just had to keep scrolling down there to really find him. Epic Endeavour at 66 to 1 and a couple of 33 to 1 shots. Not too bad in terms of finding the value. You have exceeded my expectations there. Daryl, can you find anything similar?
I don't know. Do you know what? This is one of the races where I've been going through it for a couple of hours and I'm starting to sit there and think, well, that form line ties in with that, but he's got that. That's a negative, but it drives me insane. I've got to be honest with you. Keeping it very, very simple, I can see why Frankie Dettori has chosen Magical Morning over Uncle Bryn, because I think Uncle Bryn's poorly handicapped off of like 103. I don't know what happened with this gamble. I don't know what they've seen or I just didn't get it, really. Uncle Bryn beating Wellhand last time, who's been well out of form. But Magical Morning is probably just going to keep things very simple. Still 35 against that stand side rail. Frankie Dettori will be prominent. Just keep galloping, I would think. I do like Astro King. I think this trip is spot on for him. He was a bit of a funny race at York last time. Looked like he was going to drop out the back of the TV, and then he stayed on really strongly again behind Cruyff turn in the logistics. He's been mixing it in these big handicaps all season. He's definitely due one. Now, the issue with him is his last victory came off a mark of 89. He's running off 102. So, could be a serial placed horse, but I thought he had a lot in his favour today. Quicker ground. I think there's a part of his race where he sort of gets a little bit outpaced. And I think going into the dip at Newmarket, I think that just might level the playing field a little bit for him to stick on strongly again. So he would definitely be on my short list, Astro King. But I've gone right down through this list. I could literally give you 7 or 8 or 9 of them that I think are worth a bet. So it's very difficult. I did come down on Bell Rock the same as Andrew, so that's slightly worrying for him. I thought he would have finished a lot closer last year had he gotten a clear run inside the final furlong. I think he loves this course. He's got that class edge about him, and Andrew's given some great reasons why he'll win. William Carver takes off £3. There is one in here as well called Royal Marine. I'll just give a mention to. He's a 16 to 1 shot. He hasn't been seen in the UK since he ran at Newbury. He was given £15 to Ilarab, who was running off a mark of 90. Well, Ilarab is now £18 higher, and he was only beating a neck. There's some decent horses in behind her, a lot higher in the handicap there as well. He's been over a Maidan since. They actually ran him over 2 miles last time behind some Cheveley. Now he's back down to 1 mile 1. It was a Group 1 in Maidan before that. He's back in the UK. He's still pretty lightly raced. He's a horse that promised a lot early in his career. He's running off a mark of 104. I don't know if that's very lenient, but just on that single piece of form, it looks interesting. But I'm going to probably wait really to the day to see how the track's riding today and tomorrow, and just to try and weigh things up, because I think it's very, very difficult, and I think I'll end up throwing lots of money at loads of different horses and probably still not find the winner. So for the sake of this, I'm going to put up Royal Marine just to be different to Andrew, because I know he looks Bell Rock as well. So
very interesting for 2 votes for Bell Rock there. But as you say, then another, not token gesture, but just another good shout there for Royal Marine as well, who is also a decent price. But this race, as expected, is wide open. So you can catch up with any changes to selections on the website at GG.CO.UK or on the lads' social media channels when we've seen the rest of today's racing and tomorrow's racing as well, to really have a gauge of exactly where you want to be drawn and where pace you want to be. So I've gone through this race myself because I can't resist a big field handicap for just having a bit of a play at it. And with the Portland handicap, and then also with last week going well enough as well in the Air Gold Cup, I've decided to stick with my usual trend, my own variation on the trends from the last few years when going through the winners. And I came down on a few factors I wanted to be siding with. High drawn, as Andrew said earlier on, rated around 100. That makes pretty much sense. And age 3, as we know, 3-year-olds have a good record in this race. It goes with any sort of handicaps like this because of the unexposed nature of 3-year-olds in general in these types of contests. So there are 3 runners who fit my criteria that I'm looking at. Uncle Bryn is ticking all of the boxes, though, as the Gosden potential improver to go on to bigger and better things than Handicap Company, as we saw with Lord North and Wissahickon, who won 2 of the last 3 runnings of this race for the Gosden team. And Uncle Bryn just looks another typical runner sighted at this race for this yard. And he should be a group former, I thought, anyway, after being touted as a Derby horse. earlier on this season at one stage at least. So he isn't the most straightforward, but I'll take on Frankie's judgment here. And because, as you say, he doesn't usually get it wrong, which is obviously concerning. But Uncle Bryn is a selection for me. But I'll also stick a couple of quid on Anmart and Fantastic Fox at bigger prices, because they also cover a few of my criteria. So there's 3 for me and a whole load of others. And again, I probably still won't get the winner, but hopefully there'll be some each way play in there at least. Anyway, so that is covered our schedule for Newmarket at least anyway. So I'll throw it to the floor here for any other selections from any other races across Newmarket. So Andrew, I'll start with you.
Just the 450, the Jersey Lily, good fillies nursery, 7 furlongs. One of the horses I mentioned earlier, Outside World for Mark Johnson, stepping up from 6 after winning a nursery at Goodwood. And to say she was poorly drawn when finishing a last of 10 in the Group 2 Lather Stakes at York, but her other 3 runs, second by nose at 10-1 on her debut, first by 4 lengths, first by half a length last time out. So likely to be on the front end on a track that favours such tactics. And yeah, Outside World maybe in that 450.
Perfect. In the 450 at Newmarket, and that's Outside World there, who is, well, I haven't got a show of pricing just yet, but yeah, is likely, that is a very open looking race, so you should still be getting enough value about Outside World. Daryl, for yourself?
I thought in the 524 at Newmarket in the Celebration Handicap, I thought this was a fantastic opportunity for Jumby to make the transition, step up to 7 furlongs. He's off a handicap mark of 104, but I definitely think this trip's going to see him improve again. He's almost certainly a group horse going forward, I do believe. So I think he's got a fantastic opportunity in this field, although he's carrying a bit of weight.
Yeah, as you say, top weight there in the concluding race of Newmarket, but that is horse number 1, Jumby, in the 524. We'll hopefully appreciate the 7 furlongs, and I do agree with that horse.
So, yeah, just going back to Jumby, the last time he's gone beyond 6 furlongs, he ran third to Ubia and Magellan at Newbury over a mile. Only got beaten a length and a half, and I mean, at the time, that pair were rated 89 and 86, and their marks have gone through the stratosphere since. So, yeah, if you just sort of judge him solely on that, he's got a massive chance. So, yeah.
I'm hoping we'll get a nice enough price on him. I haven't seen any prices for him yet, have you?
No, I haven't. But, yeah, so Ubia is 117 now, and Magellan must be fairly similar, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very much so. So as you say, that is a significant form line. Yeah, Magellan is currently rated 112, and Ubia, after he went and won at Belmont, is after a very strange win in that race, has gone on to bigger and better things and put his quirks to good use. So yeah, so Jumby certainly off this mark of 104 does it very well handicapped if he can make that transition up to 7 furlongs. So like that one a lot. So that's us done for Newmarket. We're going to move on to Haydock, where we have a couple of 0 to 105 handicaps to assess. Wide open contest, they look on the face of it, and lots of characters we know plenty about already. So we're going to switch tack to Haydock. I'm actually going to be there on Saturday, so really looking forward to this. Another good day. Hopefully it goes better than Betfair Sprint Cup Day, because that was just, I thought I stepped into the twilight zone that entire day, and everything that I then thought was going to be a front runner ended up taking a lead. So hopefully hoping for some more luck at Haydock on Saturday, but the lads are going to give me lots of winners to send me into battle with at Haydock at least. Anyway, so we will start with the first of our Class 2 handicaps. This is a 0 to 105 handicap for 3-year-olds and over 1 mile in the 205. Where Noble Dynasty currently heads the market with 7 declared runners set to line up in this race. Now, we know how well Charlie Appleby's 3-year-olds have been performing across the board this season. And is this another 3-year-old who should continue his progression, Daryl?
Oh, I don't know. He's the most expensive one, that's for sure. 3.6 million guineas he was. The Europe's top price as a yearling. He's not fulfilled that potential so far. I thought he was very lucky to win at Thirsk last time. Interesting, they sent Adam Farrer over to take £5 off, so he's effectively £2 or £3 lower here. But I thought I wasn't really totally impressed with the win last time. I've got to take him on at the prices. I think Nugget is a really nice progressive horse for Richard Hannon. Now, the slight concern is that he's been off for 147 days, and I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's just to keep him fresh. But I thought he was quite eye-catching in the Thirsk Cup when last seen. He was finished second there, carrying a big weight, giving weight to the looks of Astro King as well. And prior to that, he was a really good winner of the Spring Cup at Newbury, beating Dania and Matthew Flinders. I think that form there from Newbury is rock solid in terms of the context of this race. I think he's got more to come. He's £4 higher than his last run in the First Hunt Cup, but he's definitely a progressive horse. He travels really nicely. He's very straightforward. I think he's a really nice horse. I think he should be better than this grade, to be honest. United Front is very interesting. A bit of money's come for United Front. Last time at Yarmouth, he was very unlucky. He was waiting for a run. I backed him at the outside of the field that day. He was waiting for a run, and he got no gap. He had to switch straight out to the centre of the track at Yarmouth, and he ran on quite strongly behind Ropey Guest. Now, that field, if I'm being completely honest with you, is absolutely worthless compared to the race he's in today, and he has shown all of his best form on your weather, but he is quite capable on turf. He shouldn't be written off. And Cruyff Turn's the other one. I'm actually going to do a reverse forecast here, Cruyff Turn and Nugget, because I think these two are far superior to the others. Cruyff Turn was really progressive this season. Obviously won at York, won the Clipper Logistics at York on his penultimate start, but last time at Ayr he got absolutely no run behind Rivage, and he stuck on really strongly at the finish, just had plenty left in the tank. That was off the same mark as today, off a mark of 98. He's improved leaps and bounds, and I think it's going to be between the two. So I'm going to play the reverse forecast. Cruyff Turn perhaps is the value in the race at 8-1, but I can't get away from Nugget. I've been waiting for him to reappear, because I thought the First Hunt Cup run suggests he's still well handicapped off in and around a mark of 100.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting with Cruyff Turn last time out that they switched tact with him. I can't remember if he got away slowly or if they just wanted to.
No, I think it was deliberate, because on paper in that Air race last week, it looked like there was so much pace that they thought, well, if I go from the front, Marie's Diamond and others in their Chalet, then we're going to end up at the back of the telly. But because the track was strongly favouring front runners, even when they seemed to go hard, the pace was holding up. And Cruyff Turn's chance was diminished as a result, and he met trouble in running. I thought he had a great chance here. Surely they're going to revert to prominent racing. He'd be my pick. I mean, Noble Dynasty's 0 from 2 at Newmarket, 2 from 2 elsewhere, 2 from 2 around the turn. I can see the angle. He could easily win, but 6 to 4.
Short enough, isn't he? Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I can leave him alone at the price. United Front, I bet 2 at Yarmouth last time out, and was unlucky having to be switched away from the favoured rail down the middle of the track. That didn't help. Similar tactics aren't going to be ideal here. That's my concern for Nugget as well. Small field, Haydock, prominent racers track. Maybe he's going to have to come from a little bit too far back. I mean, latest generation might improve for the gelding operation, but that's generally a negative angle for the Crisford yard over the years. Young Fire needs it soft. I couldn't have him. And Afac's only ever won in May and June. There's been money for this one, but he's 0 from 16 from July onwards. So I keep going back to Cruyff Turn. I think he's a great bet here.
Oh, fantastic. So 2 positive notes then for Cruyff Turn. And hopefully they'll switch tact again with him and send him more towards the front end, because I found that a little bit bizarre last time I was there. But yes, and also Daryl going with the exotic bets there for a reverse forecast, was it, Daryl, between Nugget and Cruyff Turn?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think they're both the strongest candidates in the race. I think if you backed Cruyff Turn, I think you'd be worried about Nugget if he was travelling up behind you. I think if you backed Nugget, I think you'd worry about Cruyff Turn getting away off the front end if he does lead. So, yeah, I thought they were both. I thought that this market, as it stands at the moment, I thought was completely wrong. Really, I thought those two should be much shorter in the market. So, I might even back them both.
Oh, fantastic. And as you say, if you can boost your returns with putting the 2 into a reverse forecast, then even better. So, yes, as an exotic bet fan, then I definitely like that angle into this. So, yeah, interesting race there, and taking on the favourite as well in Noble Dynasty. Hopefully that will translate into the 240 at Haydock as well, which is another 0 to 105 handicap for 3-year-olds and over, but this time over 5 furlongs. This is the final race we're covering on our list, at least anyway. And in this contest, we have a few runners towards the head of the market who have tormented us in different ways this season already. We have Jawal currently heading the market, who an awful lot of us sided with at Haydock on his last start, before he was a non-runner last time out, when, again, plenty of us had wanted to side with him in that contest, which was frustrating that he didn't then take up the engagement. So hopefully he actually turns up here. He breaks better than he did over this course and distance last time out. But we also have that pesky Mondamedge in here, Pesky being his official prefix, by the way, for his name from now on. But in a race full of characters we know plenty about, who gets your vote, Andrew?
I'm going with Copper Knight, who ran in that Mondamage Jawal course and distance handicap a couple of runs ago. Now, the pace collapsed that day. They went too hard up front. It paid to be in the rear. Mondamages come from the back. The thirds come from the back. The fourths come from the back. So is the fifth. Copper Knight's performed miracles to go down by a head in second that day, given how quick he's gone. He's beaten the next front runner, Jabberwocky, by 3 lengths. That one was sixth. Next time out, he's gone to Doncaster. It's the Portland. There's a headwind. It's 5 furlongs, 143 yards. It's 143 yards longer than ideal. And they've set it up for the closers. And again, Hurricane Ivor, Boundless Power, Count d'Orsay all come from well off the pace, as Treacherous. And, Mr. Wagyu did well from the front. So he ran well in the Agol Cup next time. So I know he was 12th, but given the trip, given the headwind, given his running style, that was a run you can just safely draw a line through. So, hopefully this time there's not going to be so much pace pressure. And we can see Copper Knight, make all or most of the running this time around. This smaller field's going to suit. And, he'll do for me around about 5 to 1, I think.
Yep, taking on the favourite there. That's the price that I've got at least anyway. And he's actually been backed in from his opening show. So, yeah, Copper Knight, that is around the 5 to 1 marker. How about you, Daryl, in this race?
Yeah, I like the angle for 2 horses in here, Royal Crusade and Premier Power. Premier Power dropping back to the bare minimum trip of 5 furlongs. I thought he ran a blinder really in Portland over 5.5. He didn't really get too much of a clear run. He was only beaten 3 lengths by subsequent winner Hurricane Ivor, and I just felt like he would just emptied a little bit towards the end. So I do like the move back down to the minimum trip of 5 furlongs for the first time. Now, last year and the year before, he showed plenty of class about him. He struggled since off a mark of 100. The handicap has dropped him down £5. He's rated £3 lower on turf, but I'm not entirely sure that that's right. He was gelded back in March, and he came out and was beaten at Newmarket 5 lengths by Great Ambassador off a mark of 100 over 6. And then he's running the Portland off a mark of 98 and only been beaten 3 lengths. Now he's dropping back to 5 furlongs. It's only his 3rd start or 4th start on turf. And the handicap has been quite quick to relent with him. I thought he was very eye-catching last time. The way he travelled through the race and he weaved in and out of horses, I just thought perhaps O'Sheen asked a little bit too much of him over that 5.5 furlong trip there. Drop back to 5 today, I think, could be the key to unlocking a bit more potential. And I thought a marker 95 is well within reach for a horse that's relatively unexposed like him. Talking about exposed or unexposed, Royal Crusade does a similar thing here. Drops back to 5 furlongs, and this is basically his handicap debut as a 4-year-old off effectively a mark of off a mark of 98, given Adam Farrah's £5 claim. Now he's just recently been gelded as well, and he ran at Newmarket in the listed race behind Some again. He ran really well for a long way, but just didn't see it out, and that's becoming a bit of a theme with some of his races. He's just not really seeing out the 6 furlongs. I thought he was well worth dropping into handicap company, dropping to 5 furlongs, and it'd be interesting to see what they do with him, whether they go for the front with him or whether they'll sit in behind and wait. I'm not entirely sure, but I just thought this race is one of those races where you see a lot of these runners time and time again taking each other on, reversing the form here and there and everywhere, and it's a bit boring. You're looking for something that's a little bit different, something that's going to shake up the pack a little bit, and I think the 2 dropping back to 5 furlongs for the first time could be very interesting. I'm probably going to back them both. For the sake of this video, I'll put Premier Power up, but I'll probably have a touch on both of them because I think they're the most interesting runners in the race. And I think
straight to Newmarket and our Newmarket correspondent. It's travelling well towards the far side. There's 6 runners. They've split into 3 groups of 2, pretty much. Trident's one of the pair on the far side with Modern Games, 2 down the middle and 2 near side. So if there's a draw bias, this will probably give us a bit of a clue. Trident goes well under Mikel Barcelona, but it's been asked to quicken now, heading towards the dip. Still got
he's tanking.
About a length to make up on Modern Games. The front runner who's trading odds on. Trident out to 2 to 1 is not going to get there. A hold-up horse at Newmarket with a tailwind, French jockey. Unlucky perfect power backers. Second.
You do forget, Andrew, that we beat Trident very, very easily. So
after getting stopped however many times as well. So
yeah,
We had an out. We had an out no matter what happened then. But thank you. Also, have you ever considered a career in commentating at all, Andrew?
No, I did one race once on the radio. I think there were 5 runners. It was a 1.5 mile maiden in Ireland. I don't even think I mentioned the winner until the race finished. So not for me. There's much better people out there to do that job.
He's got a very soft lead there, though, Andrew. Modern game, doesn't he? He's got a very, very soft lead on the front end. No one's going to get a very soft lead in there.
Well, 6 of the last winners made all. 3 others were prominent. Sorry, 6 of the last 10 winners made all in Saturday's race. 3 were prominent. So only 1 has come from off the pace, and that was a very, very good horse. So
yeah, just like Perfect Power. Right.
Lay 7-4 and take 3-1 after a furlong.
Right. So this has given us even more reason to debate exactly how the pace is going to work out at Newmarket on Saturday. But hopefully Perfect Power will be too good anyway, and he'll get a strong pace to aim at. And Christoph Simmo can kickstart what's going to be a great couple of weekends for him as well. So thank you for that, Andrew, for that brief interlude. And I'm still not swaying. I'm still not away from Perfect Power. But at least you got a bit of, for viewers out there, at least you got a bit of live feedback then, and a bit of live punditry as well. So it's always something a bit different on this show week to week. So just to recap, back to the 240 at Haydock. So we have a positive vote from Andrew for Copper Knight, around 5-1. We also have a good shout for Premier Power from Daryl to hopefully make it another good weekend for King Power Racing with a sprint handicap winner for Premier Power, but also a good mention for Royal Crusade at a bigger price as well. So some really good shouts there to take on a couple of horses that have caught us out in the last few months with Jawal and Mondamedge. So hopefully we'll be taking them on and be taking them on to a positive effect again. So anything else from Haydock from the pair of you? Daryl, I'll go back to you here for anything else from Haydock. Please give me some winners to go to war with on Saturday.
Just the one in the 130. I'm not sure what price he's going to be. He might be a short price, but Educator for William Haggis. I was at Goodwood last time when he finished second. He was beaten a neck by a horse called Inverness. Now on the bare form doesn't look much at all, but a lot of money came for him before the off, and he looks like physically he looks a really nice type. Now he got into a battle a long way out at Goodwood. I wasn't entirely sure what Tom Marcon was thinking. Really got into a battle with Sea King, who was actually came out and won since on your weather, I think, at Chelmsford. But he beat him by a considerable margin, and he was only touched off at the line. He showed a really good attitude. The length of the home straight pretty much is how much they were going to war, and he was just picked up by one that sat off the pace. I think he's got a bit more to come. I think they think a good deal of him as well. So Educator will be interesting. He gets first time cheek pieces as well, which I'm not entirely sure why they reach for them, because he battled on well enough without them, but I think he's a nice horse going forward. So it wouldn't surprise me if he got off the mark at Haydock in 130.
Certainly so, and hopefully another winner for the Queen in what's been her best flat season to date. So hopefully Educator will be doing the business for Her Majesty the Queen there in the 130 at Haydock. Andrew, throwing it back to you for anything else from Haydock, please. Yeah, 2 for me. The 3:15 Al Simmo back in handicap company for Steph Hollinshead. She ran in listed company at Ayr last week. She did really well to finish 7th of 16 from a poor draw. She was rated 75 that day. And the horses she beat were rated 96, 92, 94, 87, 84, 90, 99, 87, 85. You get the idea. She's gone up to 82. Still looks well handicapped. Likes fast ground. Small field will suit. So Al Simmo in the 350, in the 315, and the 350 Dancing Harry from Roger Charlton. Disappointed when bidding for a hat trick at Newmarket last time, but was on the front end on a strange day on the July course where everything was winning from off the pace. 7 runners in that mile 6 race. The winner 28-1 was last for much of the race. The runner up 20-1 was second last. Both of those were flattered and have been beaten twice since. So Dancing Harry, you can forgive that and can return to form that saw him win his 2 previous runs, hopefully. Perfect. So that is horse number 3, Al Simmo in the 3:15 at Haydock, and in the 3:50 at Haydock, horse number 3, Dancing Harry. So thank you so much. I think we've covered most of Haydock races that I can then either show off or blame you for, in which depending on how it goes for my hospitality clients then at Haydock. hospitality guests at Haydock then on Saturday. So that's given me plenty of ammunition. Thank you so much to the pair of you. I'll be sure to take all the plaudits if they all go in. Anything else from any other tracks that we haven't mentioned yet so far? Andrew, back to you again.
No, nothing from me. That's it.
And Daryl, anything from you?
Yeah, just one at Ripon in the 3:30 Mark's Choice. Beaten 4 lengths by Corby Ginger in the Air Gold Cup. In the Air Silver Cup, last time. But Air is Bronze Cup. Air is not his track. Ripon is his track. He's won here 5 times. His penultimate start, I tipped him. We just got absolutely no run. He finished on the bridle. It was disgusting, really, to sit there and watch it. But he's off the same mark, 79 here, and he returns back to Ripon. The fact that he's got a 0 by his name for his last time out form figure just might mean that we might get a decent price on him, a bigger price than we perhaps should. They've turned him out 8 days later. He's certainly well handicapped off this mark, and he should be winning it. Of course, he loves, and he's drawn well in stall 11.
Yeah, as you say, certainly loves Ripon, this horse. So coming back here should be massively in his favour off the same mark as last time out. So that is horse number 2, Mark's Choice, in the 3:30 at Ripon for Daryl's other bet. So all that is left to cover now is your naps for the weekend. So Daryl, your nap, please, for the weekend.
Yeah, the nap for the weekend is Jumby in the 4:50 at Newmarket.
Perfect. And Andrew, yourself?
Sandrine, however you want to say it. Is that the 225 at Newmarket?
Wonderful. Yeah. And I am going to go for Perfect Power, despite the lack of a form boost just then, as we've just been alluding to. But Perfect Power in the middle park at Newmarket, the 3 o'clock. That is to give Christophe Soumillon, as I say, a nice winner to kickstart what looks likely to be a good couple of weekends for him. So very interesting horses to be siding with then for this weekend. We hopefully have given you plenty of winners, and we'll be reviewing this back on next week's podcast. But that is everything for today from all of our races across our list that we had to cover. So again, thank you so much to all of you for watching. Thank you so much to my pundits in Daryl and Andrew. And also a big thank you to our sponsor, SBK, of course. And you can find all race cards, selections, any more information or changes to selections on the website at GG.CO.UK or on any of our social media channels. So best of luck with your bets this weekend, and we'll catch up with you again next week.